Okay, mate, P9, should be pleased with that. We've got fast cars ahead of us. I think you've defended very, very hard. That was a good job.
Mate, I gave that everything. There's nothing left. Oh.
Yeah, so this is a little bit of an unexpected follow-up video because I lost my original Liam Lawson video when my channel got terminated, and that video was actually quite a surprise hit. Although I'm wondering if I release this video tonight New Zealand time, whether it will get as much hits. We'll give it a go. Anyway, but it is kind of worth a good follow-up. Obviously I did that video after Liam completed 2 Grand Prix. This is of course I'd say almost over 12 hours since Liam Lawson, since the Singapore Grand Prix. Liam Lawson of course finished 9th, capping off what was a very impressive weekend for the young Kiwi. Look, I mean, as I said, it's still pretty early days, but I think Liam Lawson has certainly made a very strong case for an F1 drive next season. And obviously, look, we're not going to delve into the who he's going to replace. Is he going to replace? Of course, there's talks about Yuki Tsunoda being dumped out of AlphaTauri. And of course, there's the big elephant in the room is Daniel Ricciardo. And of course, as I said in my last video, I'm not 100% certain that Sergio Perez is even going to be at Red Bull next season. Which actually just gets, I guess, segues to a nice, it's an opportunity for a nice little segue here. The Singapore Grand Prix, easily the best race of the 2023 season, for obvious reasons. Red Bull didn't win for once, and it was quite incredible how uncompetitive Red Bull were this whole weekend. There's a couple of reasons for that. Singapore's, obviously the Singapore street circuit. The roads are bumpy, there's a bit of, it's very humid there, it's racing at night, lots of factors, and that meant that Red Bull's advantage with the ground effects and, having to raise the floor meant that the car just didn't handle as dominantly, not even as dominantly as it did. It was never really in, they were never really in the hunt pole position, and I think it is a shock that, Liam Lawson was actually the fastest with all of the entire Red Bull and the Red Bull AlphaTauri stable. So yeah, I guess that's a truly good mark. But what I wanted to say, of course, I guess if you were to take Max Verstappen, I think I don't think if you took Red Bull out, because I think, look, Max Verstappen's had a brilliant season, and the Red Bull is just, fits perfect. It's like the glove fits the hand, and you've got a great driver who's top one of his game, and a car that's been pretty much top of its game until this race, of course. And yeah, he's just been miles away. And I think you look at Sergio Perez, who, in the same car, just definitely has not, his performances have not compared to Max Verstappen. Look, he started the season pretty well. We had those couple of 2 races, but after Miami, he's just fallen off a cliff. And that raises a lot of concern, of course. I guess, obviously, Mercedes, Ferrari are going to get better. They're going to close the gap to Red Bull, and they, I guess the question, we know how ruthless Red Bull can be, how ruthless Christian Horner, Helmut Marko can be. Are they going to persist with Sergio Perez for another year, especially if that's, if Ferrari and Mercedes will catch up, and they're going to put a stiffer fight in the Constructors' title? If they're going to have a number 2 teammate, right, as it stands right now, they will easily lose that Constructors' title, because, so that's, food for thought, I guess. Maybe Tsunoda might be heading that way, who knows? I mean, they did say Perez was extended till 2024, but Red Bull are well known for firing their drivers, before their contract's up. Alex Albon, Pierre Gasly, Nick de Vries, of course, this season. But anyway, let's not take that away from, I guess what I wanted to say was that if you took Max Verstappen and Red Bull out, F1 is ridiculously close and exciting, and the Singapore Grand Prix showed that. We had a thrilling race all the way to the end. The win was not decided until pretty much the last stages. And Carlos Sainz has undoubtedly been one of the drivers at the end of the season. But let's look to Liam Lawson. Look, look, I mean, he ran a good, solid race in what's undoubtedly the tough, what was always going to be the toughest race for anyone, F1 rookie. I mean, it is, after all, the Singapore Grand Prix is probably the hardest, most physically demanding race of the year. It's at night. Even at night, it's really, really hot, and the roads are just bumpy. And there's always, we had 2 safety cars, one virtual one, and then one regular safety car. And Liam Lawson pretty much stayed out of trouble, which is all you expect from a rookie. And he was also very fast. So good balance of speed and competitiveness. Look, he was never going to hold off Sergio Perez, but he did well against the likes of Albon and the Haas car. So, and I guess, it's a pity Yuki Tsunoda's had some really bad luck in the last couple of races. He barely started the last one, and this one he retired just as well. So, so I guess it's hard to, it's hard to see. We haven't really had the fair comparison in the race. The Dutch Grand Prix was a real anomaly in itself. And as I said in the past, Liam Lawson did really well there. But yeah, so I think the word is, of course, with Daniel Ricciardo, he suffered 6 fractured bones in his hand. I think 6 or 7, yeah. And his recovery, look, they were saying he'll be back for Qatar, which is starting next month, 2 weeks after the Japanese Grand Prix. It's looking quite tight at the moment. I think that would be the ideal plan because for Daniel Ricciardo, because looking at Liam Lawson now, I think Daniel Rick is feeling that a fellow Anzac might very well be the threat. You might be very well usurp him to a seat next season. But at the same time, of course, it appears, you certainly, as a driver, they don't want to rush him back. Qatar's just as physical as well. And but I guess at the same time, as I said in the last video, there's a conundrum. It's great. Lawson will be available for. Lawson will race at Suzuka. That's a track we'll be very familiar with through Super Formula this season. And then so he only has to return. He as I said in my last video, the Mexican Grand Prix is the one race where Red Bull will have to find someone else if Daniel Ricciardo's not injured, because Liam Lawson's competing in Super Formula that weekend. It's a Super Formula finale. And so, that could very well be worst case scenario. It would be quite funny if it was Daniel Ricciardo taking over Liam Lawson's seat for the Mexican Grand Prix. So we shall see. But look, I guess 3 races in, it's a bit of a follow-up, and congratulations to Liam Lawson. He was certainly guaranteed a first World Championship point, because he was in 10th before George Russell crashed on the last lap. So, and getting nuts on, he was well set on for getting his maiden championship points, but the finish line is even better. So, so it's congrats to him. Still early days, obviously, but definitely worth celebrating. I was up at 5 a.m. and my son was up around the same time. We watched both of it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it's the start of maybe a new golden era for New Zealand. New Zealanders in Formula One. But look, hey, if you like this video, feel free to like and please subscribe because I'm still trying to get this new channel up and running.